Now, it's time for the Anchormen podcast with Matt Gaetz and Dan Ball.
Welcome to Anchormen. I'm Matt Gaetz alongside my good friend Dan Ball, and this is a fun little project. You know, Dan has been in the media business for a long time. He's been very successful, and I'm new to this business, and so I figured if I was going to be picking your brain and finding out how to navigate all this stuff, we might as well invite the rest of the world in on the conversation.
Just watch it.
And, you know,
two bros hanging out chatting.
It's so funny, like when you would do interviews with my buddies in Congress, like they would come back with so much of your energy just through the course of the thing. And now I've watched you in this job, and I come in and I watch part of your show getting filmed every single day because you have a way to simultaneously perform your show, write your show, direct your show with a secret sign language that only you and your director know. And then, like,
Get me to show you some of those hand gestures right now, Matt?
I'm watching this stuff, dude, and I'm like, how does one brain do all of that? And so I was just hoping maybe for some of my listeners or people that don't know your full background, how did you come to be in this crazy business, and how do I learn the sign language?
Now, you know I don't like this type of stuff, right? Like, I'm the one asking the questions. So when I get done, I get to do this to you, right?
Deal.
So they get to learn more about all of us. Okay, great. So
this is actually truth or dare after the first 15. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'll do the dares. I'll do the dares always. That's why my nickname's Ballsy, Matt. I'll do the dares. Okay, brief story, life story in like 2 minutes or less, right? Grew up in a small town, Northwest Ohio. Parents split, divorced when I was like 1. Television raised me. I was born in 74. I'm a TV baby.
Favorite show?
Oh, geez. TV?
Yeah, of like the 70s. Like of that era, I would go Lassie.
Oh, no. See, early 80s, I was going to say Magnum PI. Who didn't want to be Magnum? I want to live in Hawaii, drive a Ferrari, and bust bad guys, and get the ladies.
But like as a kid, were you watching Magnum?
Oh, as a kid. You're talking.
Were you like,
kid.
you know, Leave It to Beaver guy?
No, because my dad's side of the family was a little bit rougher than my mom's side of the family that kind of raised me for a while. So I was probably watching, I mean, my grandma liked the Waltons. So I watched the Waltons with her. But then if I was at Dad's house, then you would watch stuff a little racier. Gosh, I don't know if I have a favorite show. My favorite movie of all time, because it launched me into this career, is Good Morning Vietnam.
No
and
way.
And the reason I say that is because that movie came out in 89.
Yep. Adrian Cronauer, Robin Williams.
That's right. And funny story, so I had 2 VHS copies of that movie in case the VHS ate one, right? Because the tape would always get crinkled or chewed up. So I had 2 copies, so I could always watch that. I watched that through high school, and when I signed up for the Air Force, fast forward now, I got into this, I was supposed to go in the Marines with a couple buddies, and I was going to be a Marine Corps sniper. And literally the day I was going over at 17 years old to sign up for the service, I switched my entire career in life because the Air Force recruiter walked in, and it was a hallway with all the different services, and I was kind of sitting on the ground waiting for the Marine recruiter to show up for my appointment to literally sign the contract. And the Air Force guy came down the hallway and was like, hey, what's your name? If you're waiting on Sergeant so-and-so, they're out to lunch, you can sit in my office. Smart salesman. Sits me down on the couch. What do you like to do? At that time, I'm like, well, I was recording radio station commercials in my little hometown of 4,000 people because I had a deep voice for 16. And I was helping a buddy DJ weddings and parties. So I already was doing on-air type broadcasting radio stuff. And so I told the recruiter that, and he goes, have you seen the movie Good Morning Vietnam? And I'm like, I love that movie. He was like, how would you like to do that? I'm like, I'm going in to be a sniper with my buddies in the Corps, man. We're going to take out the bad guys. He's like, well, as a combat journalist, you'll do A, B, C, and D. And I'm like, sign me up. When you're 17, you're very well influenced. It's not hard to do. So I literally changed my whole life, went as a journalist, did it 4 years, got out, started as a cameraman at an ABC affiliate in Palm Springs, California. And then for the last 30 years, I've moved around from Las Vegas to Philadelphia to Grand Rapids, Michigan, Fresno, San Diego, all kinds of places, just doing the news. That's how I got here. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, so I remember loving the movie Good Morning Vietnam, but then also seeing like how some of the Vietnam vets who were my buddies' parents like did not love the politics of that it was highly critical of U.S. involvement.
It was.
But I actually think the message from that movie withstands the test of history.
Oh, it does today. Let me tell you, talking to my vet buddies and their dads who are Vietnam vets, today, now knowing what we know, and you know as a former sitting congressman, with all the corruption in the DOD and the deep state, oh, let me tell you, Now I think more people, unlike back in the 70s when people are screaming baby killers at him and all pissed off at LBJ and everything else, I think today people go, yeah, that war should have been handled differently, or if we even should have been in it. And I think Adrian Cronauer, who, by the way, met him, nothing like Robin Williams. Funny quick story. He gave the commencement speech at my graduation ceremony when I went through DINFOS, which is the Defense Information School of Broadcast Journalism. He's a short, kind of, I think he might still be alive, I don't know. Shorter, little rotund, curly, frizzy hair and beard.
So are you buying
not that
he
funny.
Had, like the hot Asian girlfriend like Adrian Cronauer in the movie? That maybe was dramatized?
No, looking up the background of that film, the director let Robin be Robin and bring that character to life, because Adrian, from what I understand, talking to people more about him and actual veterans that heard him while they were in the bush in Vietnam, he was more always political and not funny. It was controversial. Robin made the character funny for Hollywood, which thank goodness, because it literally changed my entire life. One movie. It's crazy to say, but that movie and a smart recruiter changed my life.
I can only, like, right now.
The questions are coming for you, by the way, Matt, next.
Well, listen, man, you get to end everything with a question if you want. If you let me, I'll just let my curiosity run wild. But I am curious to know how doing that job for the military is different than, like, the civilian thing we do now.
Well, Matt, let's be real. Do you think that out of all the deep state stuff you uncovered, how many years in Congress?
8.
You're 8 years in Congress. Do you think that the military would let someone like me, and you know my personality, say whatever I want to the troops about what's happening?
It really was censored.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think people would be. That was another theme of the movie, Good Morning Vietnam. So, I mean, you know, a theme of the movie is the radio broadcaster wants to tell the troops on the ground the truth about these casualties and losses.
And you weren't allowed to.
People are going there and thinning it out. So even in the years you were doing that, you actually saw that same thing come
Hell
through.
yeah. So let's think about this, Matt. You and I have made careers in the last 8 for you, the last 4.5, 5 for me here at OAN, telling the truth, speaking truth to power, and bitching and complaining about censorship. Because let's be real.
Well, and doesn't lying sound exhausting?
Yeah,
Like,
just tell the truth, people.
Well, also, you have to then keep up with the lie.
Right. What
And
did I say last time to the press?
Yeah.
So think about this. This is
or just like what you believe. Like a bunch of them that I work with, that I worked with in Congress, they don't even believe the things they say. They just say what they have to based on who's giving them money.
Name names.
Well,
you know
I
this
would say,
podcast.
by the
People want you to name names,
by the
Matt.
way,
Tell them.
I think you just saw one get removed from the Intelligence Committee chairmanship, Mike Turner. I think that's someone who was a wholly owned subsidiary of the defense industry and of some of the kind of gray operators. And we all knew it, and the speaker knew it, and people resented it. And so he got bounced. But the way you become a committee chairman is to be a multi-level marketer in the money laundering that is Washington.
So you mean you have to have a BA and BS? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's
Pretty
not
much.
it's not that much unlike the mob, right? The capos are the ones who ultimately develop the systems to kick up the most to the bosses. You know, the made guys at the bottom, they're always just trying to scrape out theirs and kick up to the capos.
Yep.
But then if you've got a system where you're like, oh man, I did a really good favor for this industry that's very liquid right now. I can be their vessel to plow money into the political machine. Well, baby, that's how you go from a not so important committee to an important committee. That's how you go from a subcommittee chairman to a chairman. So when you look at who rises in these ranks, you can see who's playing that game.
Revealing all the swamp inside here on the Anchormen podcast. Matt Gaetz, thanks, brother. I just think of this because you brought this up with censorship back then, and this is just coming full circle now to me, 50 years later here. So our government would censor military broadcasters like Adrian Cronauer about wars we were waging. And people think that in this day and age, where you and I, President Trump, truth tellers in the MAGA movement, and we're out there going, we've been censored, your government does this, they've been doing it for years. Folks, they've been doing it forever. Just go back to the Vietnam War. Military broadcasters couldn't even tell you the damn truth about the war or they'd be censored. So it's been going on forever. It just got worse.
Well, and I think the digitization of the censorship made it easier.
Yep.
And I think that the way these algorithms are working and the way some of these entities can shape the nature of truth by directing advertising dollars based on their politics, not based on where there is viewership. That is a very troubling thing that you wouldn't have had happen in the 1970s, but through digitization of content is pretty dangerous now.
Plus, you also have journalists, and I've known these people for decades, these people at the network level, who still act like journalists when they are paid puppets for the machine, for the left-wing entity. I mean, I can't think of too many people out there anymore, like 99% of them, that aren't bought and paid for, or they're just brainwashed so much that are doing their jobs. I was watching a clip, I think tonight or yesterday, of Joy Reid on MSNBC. And I'm just sitting there, you laugh. I'm like, that's one of the biggest lying, racist people, and they give her a national platform, shame on you, MSNBC, to sit there and spew lies to the American people. And the American people think it's legitimate because they hide behind the title journalism.
Do you hate watch it?
No.
Show?
Nope, because I don't want to give them ratings.
I think I have
watch
a
the
producer
clips.
who hate watches Joy.
Do they?
I think I have one.
Vish, you watch that? Ugh. No, I can't stand more than a couple of clips. My wife or somebody will show me a clip. Did you see what so-and-so said? And I'll watch it, and 20, 30 seconds in with the lies and the BS, I will literally scream, turn that off. Like, I can't stand it. I'm like, how do you still get a paycheck? How do the executives at MSNBC allow that to go on the air? They know they're all lies. Anyway, just
no, I mean, it's a virtue signal. And
disgust the hell out of me. After doing this shit 30 years, it disgusts the hell out of me, Matt.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
I don't know that I get as mad at the left media as some on the right who don't cover the stories that matter most to people's lives, that kind of chase the normal Washington narrative scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're living in an era now where information is more fragmented than at any other time.
Totally agree.
I mean, I still remember, huddling up with my parents to watch Dan Rather at night, right? And that was amazing.
My grandma and I, Walter Cronkite. I only got about 8 or 9 years on you. We were Walter Cronkite family with my grandma.
I can already tell that Anchormen is going to explore the full Gen X versus like Zennial generation.
What am I? Yeah, we're about the
You're
same,
Gen
aren't we?
X. I'm
at 50. I'm an Xer. You're a
I'm like the
between X and
oldest
millennial?
millennial. I'm like the first millennial with gray hair.
So, all right, my turn now. So you grew up in Florida.
Yeah.
So Floridian your whole life.
That's right.
See, I'm a Buckeye too, although I left at 18, military, and then moved around like I told you. So Florida your whole life.
Yeah.
College where?
Florida State University.
Florida State. Fun school? Party school?
Number 1 or number 2 party school. All the years I was there. Arizona State.
I was going to say ASU. That's the party school.
Yeah, I always wondered if that was just because there wasn't anything else to do in Arizona. There was no beach, there was no anything. But yeah, Florida State, it was a good time. They would tuck a diploma under your windshield if you drove slowly through the town during the years I was there. It's far more academically rigorous now. But the 2 words I was most allergic to were attendance policy. I was the guy who liked to read the book, write the paper. I would cram for the finals, but I was not very studious. But then when I went to law school at the College of William and Mary, I really had to buckle down. Law school is 100 pages of reading a night. You really got to study it. You really got to know it. The punishment that comes to the soul when you have to stand up in front of 300 of your classmates and get grilled by the professor and be made look like an idiot was a strong driver for me to be very prepared in law school. So I did well there, and it was 2007, and you were in those rough Obama economy.
The 08 bubble.
Yeah.
I took a hit. I owned some houses.
Yeah.
Know that.
It was a rough time. I mean, the war and then leading into the Obama economy, it was dicey. And so I went back to my hometown, practiced law for a little bit.
What's specific? Did you have something you wanted to do?
Yeah. I really wanted to be a developer, actually. The thought of building communities, but the economy was so bad. I was like, man, I got to figure out something else. And so when it's rough and you're a starting out lawyer, you have to find people who are highly litigious with other people's money. And what I found were homeowners associations. Homeowners associations were terrific clients because they were willing to litigate about whether or not the grass was 2 inches high.
Don't get me started on those HOAs, Matt.
Oh.
You know I live in California, okay? And I've been behind the gates with HOAs up until literally this week. And we'll talk about that if we have time in this episode, because I just moved. My own property, no HOA. I hate HOAs. But
so I represented them and sued them.
Good. Now I don't like you.
And I Well, look, it was a great. They were people who were like very contentious and spending other people's money. So I sued the government when they would violate transparency laws. I've got some of the biggest attorney fee awards in Florida history for sunshine law enforcement actions. And then I would represent defense contractors because that was the community industry in that part of Florida with the largest geographic Air Force base in the world, Eglin Air Force Base.
Eglin, yeah.
In my area. So
Air
I
Force
did
vet.
that, and then a seat came open in the state legislature. I was 26 years old. I didn't think I would win the election, but I thought, if I run, then at least everybody has to talk about some of the stuff that I care about.
Yeah.
And I knocked on 8,000 doors, and I won by less than 600 votes.
Whoa.
And went and served 6 years in the state house and chaired the Criminal Justice Committee and the Finance and Tax Committee.
Nice.
Loved it. My father and I
I
were
was
the
going to say, your pops is in politics. Was he in way before you jumped
my
in? Was
dad
that influential?
On the school board, and then he was the school superintendent, and then he became a state senator, and we were the first father-son team to serve in the state senate and state house together. He's now back in state politics in the state senate. I'm super proud.
So wait a minute. Your pops was a state senator,
Yes.
and you were a state legislator.
Yes.
So when the full body had to meet,
right,
there's pops, there's you.
right, and what we did
kinda
not
cool.
always agree on.
I
every
bet. Like, what if you were like, Dad, I'm voting this way?
Medicaid expansion was something that was a real source of disagreement we had, and the one ace in the hole I had was Mom would always take my side, and my parents are.
And Matt,
still
you're not
there.
saying you're a mama's boy on a man podcast
I
like
am
this,
a
are you?
Total mama's boy. I am a total, and there's no shame in it.
That's true. That's true.
I think we all may get judged one day by how well we treated our mother, and so
point.
I talk to my mom almost every day still.
Good
Yeah.
for you. My parents a little different, so we'll leave that out. But anywho, so you do 6 years in the state house,
Yeah.
and then you decide I'm going to go bigger office. And
Yeah.
whose plan was that? Yours, Dad's, a combination?
It was not something I was expecting to do. I was thinking about running for the state senate next. My dad was looking to get out of public life, and then my congressman of 15 years just announced his retirement with only a few days before filing. And a lot of people in the community were so enthusiastic in 2016 for Trump's victory.
Mm-hmm.
They thought he's going to need some ride or die buddies up there. And I knew Trump from Florida days. He was a major player in the business community in Florida for a long time.
Oh, yeah, we're developing a cool.
Yeah. And
Did you
so,
ever meet him before you ran?
yeah,
for
yeah.
Okay, so you did.
It
Did you get to hang with him when he was The Apprentice, Don?
he was a big time fundraiser for Republican candidates. And so he would always host big events for state legislators to come, and he would write big, 6-7 figure checks to help us win our campaigns for Republicans against the Democrats. And so that's how we knew him, as a donor. And even in those days, everybody was trying to be in whatever picture he was going to tweet.
Yeah.
Because if Trump would tag you in a tweet, your
Huge.
follower count would go up.
Listen.
When did you first get Twitter?
When I got tweeted by him, I first got on I had Facebook in 08, Twitter in 09. But when the
Did you
president,
ever have a MySpace?
I did. For a hot second, though. I never built
See,
the page.
this is
really
the generational
great.
component.
Right, you didn't
again.
have it. I got it. You didn't have MySpace.
I didn't
So-
have 5 friends to put in my top 5. That's why I didn't have a MySpace.
So, well, I'll do 2 Trump stories. 'Cause
Okay.
You have him donating and having fun and being a regular dude down in Florida before politics. I have the Donald in 02. I'm working in Palm Springs, local news reporter, little weekend reporter anchor guy, making no money, trying to go somewhere else bigger in the biz. And they say, hey, Donald Trump's coming to town this weekend to put his name on one of the local Indian casinos. It was called Spotlight 29. It was going to be called Trump 29 for a 5-year contract. Do you want to come in and interview him? Because they knew I was doing red carpets at the Oscars and the Emmys. I was an entertainment guy for like 14 years, Matt. I never even got into politics. I was like, if you asked me who was sleeping with who in Hollywood, or what the next project was of this actress or actor, or who this producer, what movies they did, it was in my bank.
Well, that's
I had
definitely
no
my
politics.
next question.
And then, well, yeah. And then I said, F Hollywood, and went polar opposite and politics. I'll tell you that story later. But anyway, so they say, do you want to come in Saturday? Trump's coming in, red carpet, ribbon cutting, da-da-da. I'm like, hell yeah, it's Donald Trump. Like, let's go. It's The Apprentice. It's the Donald. So I go out there, and like everything in television, as you're finding out with only being on TV about 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes all this crap breaks and doesn't work. It's technology. So I'm sitting out there. He's waiting. The live truck breaks right before the 6 o'clock news. And the live hit I'm supposed to do with the Donald, and Melania's there. And so I'm over
Did you
begging.
suspect sabotage?
No, at that point,
I would have.
Nobody. If this was 2022, yes.
Okay.
This was 2002.
All right.
So the Democrats weren't hating Donald yet.
I wouldn't have suspected Democrats. I would have suspected a competing news organization.
Well, that's true. We were the only ones that covered it. It was a Saturday, and nobody sent a crew out. So I was like, I want to go interview the Donald. I'm thinking resume, put it on the reel, like, hey, I interviewed the Donald Trump. It's great. So we go out.
Indian casino in the background.
It was, yep,
Go.
right at the red carpet. The whole tribe was there waiting. And the truck breaks, and the tribe's like, because I knew the tribe, and they're like, Mr. Trump has to go, Dan, sorry. I'm like, no, he gave me his word. I'm like, can you wait? And he literally looks at them. And again, you could say it was ego because he wanted to be on TV, but this was local, ABC affiliate. Nobody's going to see it, but a few thousand in the Palm Springs, Coachella Valley area. This isn't national media.
Yeah, but
he made his word, though. He shook my hand
He
and he
needs
goes,
them to be feeding those slot machines.
that's true, too.
Those
So
were
he's like,
very important eyeballs to get on that content.
he's like, you know what? I gave Dan my word. We're going to wait a few minutes, okay? Can we do that? And he tells the tribe chairman, wait. 6:22. He waited 22 minutes. The show's almost over, and we get the truck working. And I'm like, Mr. Trump, can we please do 4 or 5 minutes? He goes, of course we can. And literally the tribe people have yelled at me like 3 times. Melania's sitting there, very patient, waiting. We do maybe a 5-minute interview, and then stranger Donald Trump, the civilian, is like, and my first wife was there with me waiting in the wings as well because it was a Saturday. I wasn't working. I came in to do this interview because it was him. He invites us into dinner, puts the table right next to him and his wife. That's my first Donald Trump story, is he didn't know me. I'm some little snot nose. It's 20-some years ago. So I'm 50. I'm 26, 27. I'm in the civilian news game maybe 5 years out of the military. And the Trumpster's like, no, we're going to wait. I give you my word. And then after he goes, oh, terrific interview. That was fabulous. Why don't you come in and sit down? We'll have dinner together. Put me at the table right next to him. Had a great dinner at the
He's
steakhouse.
a host above everything else.
Yeah.
Still to
Great
this
guy.
day. And I think it affects features of his presidency where if you're a hotelier or a restaurateur or a casino owner, the vibe, how people feel when
Yes.
they're around you is everything.
How you feel about this vibe, by the way? Did our team do good putting this together?
I'm telling you.
It's pretty nice.
We should.
We slept
out
this
here
up
and do
in
my
like 2
daily
weeks.
show out of here.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, by the way, if people are expecting us to like go over the headlines in the news of the day, they're going to be very
Oh,
disappointed.
yeah, we didn't
with
tell them
Anchormen.
20, 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you know what? They're getting it. They're getting it. We love our daily shows. You want to catch Real America at 8 o'clock Eastern. You want to watch the Matt Gaetz show as the chaser to Real America at 9 o'clock. And we got all the major newsmakers. We're very well sourced in the Trump administration.
Yep.
And we're going to make sure that you get the story on all the important breaking things. And man, what a time. But here, look, this is a chance for you to be a part of our conversation and just our friendship.
Yeah, I'm glad that you invited me to do this because the talk shows, as you all know if you've been watching them, they are straight political talk shows. And we do cover, obviously, different things happening in culture and everything else. Like, obviously, we just had this horrific, tragic air collision accident in D.C. And the talk shows are going to cover natural disasters like that, government affairs, a little, entertainment once in a while, Hollywood, musicians, people when they get into politics when they shouldn't. So I think you and I have those types of guests on those shows and those talk shows at 8, 9 p.m. That's what that's for. This is for us to not be the anchormen, newsmen you see doing those political talk shows and just have an hour to maybe bring some of our friends and family on. You and I get to know each other more, BS about stuff that is pop culture, that is politics, that's whatever. That's what I'm hoping this hour is every week. We can just do whatever the hell we want that we're not allowed to do on the talk shows.
I don't even think that's one of the rules. But let's
was a
dive
dig at
into
the
it.
boss.
Let's dive into a topic that's been at the center of political debate.
Sure.
Ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. These are two treatments that became a hot topic during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yep.
Remember when President Trump advocated for these exact treatments? He stressed the importance of having multiple options in our medical arsenal. Well, here we are in 2025. Getting access to meds is still a battle. Many doctors are hesitant to prescribe them, and most pharmacies won't even carry them. That's why I'm telling you about All Family Pharmacy. This is a Florida-based pharmacy working with doctors who will get it. They'll get you what you need. They'll prescribe ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, benzodol, antibiotics, all the things that are absolutely essential. So there's no need for you to go searching for a doctor or waste your time in long lines. If you're ready for this. They're ready to serve you, and then you'll be ready for any emergency. Go to All Family Pharmacy. They've got you covered. You can order in bulk and have it shipped right to your door. Stock up and protect your family. Visit their new website, allfamilypharmacy.com/Matt. Use code MATT10. Get 10% off your meds and stay prepared. I will tell you, when I had COVID, I used hydroxychloroquine.
So did I.
And it was not easy to find.
2 or 3 times.
I had to go. It felt like a drug deal.
Well, you were in Florida, though, at the time.
Yeah, but
They wouldn't do it in California, Matt. I went to a CVS with a freaking prescription for ivermectin, and they said, "What's it for?" And my doctor, who's maybe been on your show, definitely on the network, Dr. Brian Tyson, told me, if you tell them COVID, they won't give it to you. Tell them you flew back from Ghana, somewhere in Africa, whatever, and it's for a stomach bug, they'll give it to you.
Go admit
so
to
I literally,
pinworms.
I literally told them I just got back from Ghana, and they're like, "Fine, we'll give it to you."
Yeah.
What the?
It's it is so weird what happened during COVID, where people just completely lost confidence in what they were hearing from the government. And now these investigations I was involved in on the Judiciary Committee, you see where people inside the Biden White House were pressuring social media companies to censor true information. It wasn't like it was a conspiracy theory or false. It was stuff that they knew was true at the time. They just didn't like it. And this network, we've got tremendous investigative reporters here, by the way. Pearson Sharp, a number of these packages that run all day on OAN really get into what's going on. And we get hammered with like the disinformation scarlet letter.
Oh, trust me.
And it's almost like it's got a life cycle. First, it's disinformation. Then it's Russian propaganda.
Yep.
Then it's true, but Democrats were telling you it all along. And then it's harmful, and we should go and prosecute Republicans for it. That's feels like the life cycle of information.
Just wait, baby. I was here for all of it. I mean, they literally took millions of dollars away from this network, got us kicked off, cable and satellite carriers, for those exact things you mentioned. They use those stupid ass words like misinformation, disinformation. They called me Trump and Putin's puppet. Like I was lying about COVID. Nope. The lockdowns. Nope. I mean, we just found out
hoax.
The laptop.
Remember when they were saying
laptop, Matt?
That there were the Russian bounties in Afghanistan that Trump was allowing, and then the whole thing turned out to be some crazy urban legend? We are in a weird time, and I don't know if what Trump is bringing us into with more economic success and more transparency into the presidency, will have some unifying, forcing function. But you look at some of these people, and they have completely lost their minds, and they live in this state. I mean, this state. Just spending the last few weeks here, getting to know the wonderful folks on the One America News team, the Herring family, just the most amazing people you ever imagined. But
it's because you only met the Republican ones,
Yeah, like why would you surrender a state this beautiful and lovely to the homeless and the illegal immigrants? Why would the normal people here tolerate that?
I admit it. My wife and I were thinking about bailing. The Herrings know it. My family knew it. We were pushing hard all last year to maybe build a home studio in Florida, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, somewhere with less whack jobs.
Threw a dart at some red states.
No, we looked at the areas. I got friends in Franklin outside of Nashville. I love that area. But it's turned blue now because during COVID, a bunch of New Yorkers and LA folks screwed up Franklin. And folks know what I'm talking about that live there. Florida, we loved. Up where you're at, Destin and the Panhandle, over by Gulf Shores, Alabama, very affordable, beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
We were considering there. Texas, I like the ranch-style life, more affordable. But in the end, we talked about it, and we talked with the Herrings who own this network, and we went, you know what? Why should we leave? California's beautiful. Screw all these wackos. Screw the Democrats that run 98% of Sacramento, and we've only got a little bit of a voice. I'm staying put. I'm putting down roots, and so we just bought a place, and we're staying put. Now, I know you're going to stay a Floridian and go back and forth because you're like, I'm not that crazy, Dan.
Well, no, I'm a Florida man through and through, but I have pity.
I'm a Buckeye, though. I was born in Ohio. I still love Ohio. But I like California a little better.
Ohio is a whole lot of flat land.
But it's the heartland of America, man.
Did you do clam bakes when you were there?
No, we never did. We did a lot of barbecuing. I was up in the northwest corner.
What do you do when it's freezing outside? Do you just hang out
play and have
inside?
fun. No, you bundle up. We snowmobile, ice fish, snowball fights, make snowmen, go skiing and snowboarding up in northern Michigan.
Ice fish.
You can do
like
stuff
the worst way to. I fish with like
You're
a
a Florida boy.
margarita and they're like. Ginger wears a bikini, and it's just a great time. Ice fishing, you're all like bundled up, like hoping to catch some.
In a little shanty with your whiskey or a hot toddy. I mean, you got a little portable heater. It's not bad.
Whiskey and a port. That describes several
gotta take
homeless
Matt.
encampments.
We're going
in,
ice
like
fishing.
the greater San Diego area.
We do have those, let me tell you. And OAN and where we're doing this podcast is in San Diego, California. So get used to it because a bunch of the whack jobs from Northern California up in San Francisco and LA moved down here during COVID. And our mayor, our city council, our county commish used to have a 1-seat advantage, and the mayor was a Republican. In the last 4 years, we switched all blue. So San Diego now is slowly, unfortunately.
Who is it? Is it the childless cat ladies that are getting elected, or
No. The mayor right now, Todd Gloria, is a young Hispanic gay man who I think pretty much believes in socialism. So he wants to take all of our tax money in San Diego.
That's a DEI bingo card extraordinaire.
Well, when you look at the previous guy, Kevin, who was a Republican, he was a little wishy-washy, not a, you and I love calling out those rhinos that don't have balls, right? Because you had to deal with plenty of them in the House.
Mitt Romney, a Republican.
Kevin wasn't ballsy enough. I think, though, you have Kevin Kiley now, which was one of our state reps. He's now a congressman. Kevin's good.
He's a very smart
so nobody
guy.
confuses the Kevins. It's Kevin Faulkner was our mayor. Okay. But again, I think people worry too much about placating the other side and weak people in our party. And it's like, when are they going to, like you, grow a pair and be a firebrand? And that's my next question to you. Where the hell did that come from? Did Ginger think of it? Did you? Did Vish, your producer?
No,
Where'd firebrand come from?
I had to write a book because I had so many terrific stories on the front lines of the MAGA revolution, great experiences with DJT and a lot of the folks who've helped make him successful. And I was into about chapter like 4 or 5 of the book, of writing it, and it just came to me that the great title would be Firebrand, because that is what Trump has allowed. He has paved the way for a style of politics and governing that people like an Eli Crane, a Lauren Boebert, someone like a Brandon Gill who just got elected.
Love all the people you're mentioning.
Terrific interview you had with him on
Corey
your
Mills, Stoobs, MTG, tons of people.
But that
the people I love
because of Trump. I mean,
it does.
People like that get vanquished. They don't get any real power in the traditional mores of Washington. And so I wanted to celebrate that firebrand spirit. And so then it became a little bit a part of the brand. And
nice.
We had a good time with it.
I think the majority of American people don't understand, whether you love him, hate him, or you're indifferent on Trump, you don't understand what he brought to you as the American people. He brought this openness, this transparency, this bluntness of elected leaders that will tell you the damn truth and not worry about feelings. Let's be real. I was having a conversation with the wife driving in today when we learned about the tragedy last night with the plane crash. And we're talking about DEI hires and all that crap. And she's like, there's a perfect example. Politicians have put people's feelings ahead of our safety in the skies, our safety in our military, the education of our kids. And I am sick and tired, as Trump would say, of this bullshit. And thank God for you and the other folks who've come forward. And, I tried my hand. I ran for Congress once, not successful. I thought about getting in there because I kind of thought of myself as a firebrand.
Campaign?
Nothing. It sucks. Politics is horrible.
You didn't like it?
No, there is. The best part, I'm joking.
The little meetings.
The best part is going out and talking to the people. Yeah. When you got to deal with trying to dial for dollars and talk to donors, when you got to go to meetings with powerful people and kiss ass and kiss the ring, I don't do that. You don't do that. The best part was going out.
I did a ton of it.
Talking to, I don't like that.
Getting started.
I don't like kissing ass.
Oh, I listen to everybody's crazy stories.
Regular people, I will. Not powerful people that they tell me I have to. When the California GOP or your county RNC or GOP, whatever it is, tells you got to go meet this person or you won't get anointed, you got to do this, you got to kiss the ring. And I'm like, I don't kiss except my wife and my daughter. Would you like the pinky ring and the ring finger, or just the ring finger? So I didn't fare very well.
If you were a Rotary Club president when I first ran for State House, I would wash your car every Tuesday if I had to. If I thought that could get me a Rotary.
This is why you were the good politician to get going, and then when Trump opened the door, you were able to step in and be that ballsy firebrand. I'm the guy who's probably better sticking to being the ballsy Anchorman and leave politics to other folks.
Isn't it kind of something? I noticed as I was watching Sean Duffy respond to this tragedy.
Great job, by the way, today.
But
he handled it well.
He had command of the facts.
Yes,
he delivered a compelling presentation to the media. And then you think, well, he was in the media. Like, this is a guy who hosted a show.
That's why I thought I'd be a decent
on television.
Because I'm fair, straight, honest. I don't give a shit about politics.
Well, it's Trump's deal, man. The not every. I hope I don't have to do episode 2 of the show by myself because you're like the next Secretary of the Air Force or something. But
Call me, Pete. Heck, Seth.
Call me maybe. But like Pete was a media guy.
Right.
Monica Crowley going into the admin.
You bring up such a great point because think about it, Matt.
A lot of these people have done it. So somebody had to go the other direction. So
What did you
was
start this conversation with tonight? We started ripping media and censorship. How are you going to avoid, if you're in political office or you're an appointee by Trump or the next administration, hopefully it's JD, think about this. You get lied about and what you say gets skewed on here and on the big screen by the 99% liberal media. So wouldn't it make sense that if you have somebody that's got 32 years of media experience, you'd know how to look at those bastards out there and go, no, you're not doing that, like Trump does. Because Trump's been the apprentice, a media mogul for years. And so why not hire people that have that media background, but then also experience? I hate listening to Joy Reid and others today rip on Pete. And I'm like, do you have any medals? Did you serve in combat? Did you pull guys out of blown up Humvees? Have you served in combat, shot at bad guys, and taken shots at you? You've not. So shut your damn mouth because the man has experience in combat. And oh, by the way, yeah, he was a TV host. I think he's going to be a great SecDef. I'd sign back up right now at 50 if they needed me.
You know what?
But
Trump
it doesn't
said?
pay enough.
Trump says he's going to be the next General MacArthur.
I mean, again, like you just said, you better have some media prowess if you think you're going to take any job in high-ranking government, because this media, especially if you're on the conservative center-right, is going to chew you up and spit you out unless you can do it to them first.
Some people know how, like they learn exactly how to play the YouTube algorithm, right? Where, they never say anything that goes over a specific line and they're able to really be successful. Or,
I think I broke that rule about 5 times tonight, sorry.
Yeah, but I think that's not the deal here. This is a mission-based platform where we work at One American News.
Yes,
it really is. It's a mission-based platform, and I honestly believe the organizing principle of this place is to save the country. And I don't think that's the case in media broadly, to say the least.
No, and you've learned that just in a few weeks knowing Mr. Herring, our boss, as he likes to be called, Mr. H here. This guy's 83. He came up from nothing out of Louisiana, just like me. I came up out of nothing out of Ohio. He's made his fortune. I'm still trying. But, I mean, look, from the lawsuits.
He fought off a band of Chilean gang members with a knife.
That broke into his house.
Within the last few months.
Yeah. Did you know that?
When he was explaining to me that, I was like, well, what'd you do when you found out that the Chilean gang had entered your home and was robbing you?
He grabbed a ceremonial Bowie knife. That's all he had. He couldn't get to a gun in time. So he grabbed one of these, it's like on a little wood placard thing like we have up here, holding a Bowie knife.
We don't
was
grow
like
men
engraved.
like that anymore.
No, and Mr. H is like 5'8", 5'9", 165, 170 pounds. Not a big guy, but by golly, you break into his house. Him and his wife are there, and you grab what you can grab. And he grabbed the ceremony. You guys have
stand your ground here? Can you shoot people if they break into your house or castle?
Break into mine.
Well, I mean, like, you hear these stories.
I'll show you, Matt.
In some of these left-wing jurisdictions, you do hear these stories where the person breaks in, someone exercises self-defense, and then the law goes after the person defending themselves. We don't put up with that nonsense.
I know.
In Florida. Florida is home is my castle.
Yep.
You come into my castle.
We don't have the castle doctrine. We don't have the stand your ground. What we do have is, and this is what I've been told by multiple county sheriffs who follow the Constitution, unlike Gavin Hairgel Newsom and the dipshit Democrats up in Sacramento.
There will be no negative comments about hair gel on this program.
I know. You and I do have some decent hair. Anyway, I remember a story covering it. I don't know if it was 12, 15 years ago, whatever, but it was local news here in Cali. It might have been in Fresno or Palm Springs. It was somewhere in this state. I don't remember the city, but I remember a bad guy was on the roof, broke through somebody's skylight, whatever, injured himself, and then the guy either beat him up, shot him, whatever. That guy sued. The homeowner had to pay his medical bills because the attorney and the judge agreed with his attorney that he was just a homeless guy looking for some food and for some stuff to help his family, and that mean homeowner didn't need to beat him up, shoot him, stab him, whatever he did to him. I forget the details. It was years ago, and I've got lots of stories in my head. But that's a California story for you. I swear to God, the freaking homeowner got turned into the bad guy instead of the bad guy that broke into his damn home. So it can happen. So here's what I'm going to teach you, because I know you're only here a few days a week, and you're going to stay Floridian. But if you ever have to put someone down that is breaking into your home, when the cops arrive, simply say, I feared for my life. Then be quiet and say, call my attorney. Don't say anything else in the state of California, bro. Don't say anything else. They'll use it against you.
I think in Florida, you're legally allowed to take the police officers who show up for a round of beers. under our state
Dude, in
laws,
Texas, when this stuff's happened, you see them, they have like a ticker tape parade for them. Like the sheriff goes out, they look at the facts, they call the DA and go, looks like a clean shoot, the guy broke in. The DA goes, great, do the presser, call him a hero, call it a day. And they come out and go, the hero put 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, the bad guy's dead. We're not charging him. Matter of fact, he's a hero. I've seen Florida cops say the same thing.
So people are going to hear this podcast and see this show from Ohio, from
Everywhere,
Real America.
Yeah.
And they're just going to say, well, why don't they change it then? If that's the way it is there and they have these problems.
They don't understand.
Why don't they make the change? And it almost feels like the people here have a certain psychosis or Stockholm syndrome where you become sympathetic
That's a great point.
with your captor.
Stockholm syndrome.
And I want you to explain that because I do see movements emerging, right? My buddy Rick Grinnell has the Save California movement. You've had the recall folks on
Couple
your
times
program,
we've tried.
Talking
Love
about
Rick,
that.
by the way. He's the only guy that stuck up for me during my campaign in 2018. Thank you, Rick Grinnell, when a bunch of not just liberal lefties, but Republican rhinos questioned my service. They were accusing me of stolen valor. Then some very liberal...
Those would be fighting words.
Oh, trust me. And then some liberal gay guys from Palm Springs, since Rick's of the gay community. Rick was nice and stood up for me to them because I held an event, a fundraising event, at a restaurant in Palm Springs, California, that 2 gay gentlemen owned. And then the night after I held it, there was a huge... like all over social media, don't ever go to Wang's in the desert. Screw those owners. They're horrible. They put a Trump supporting...
All the gay guys no longer wanted to go to Wang's?
Yes, that's what it was called.
Not really the story. Is that where this goes?
Anyway, so some guy, but wait, there's more. It's a late night commercial. But wait, Matt, there's more. Then 2 dudes in Scream masks. This is true. There's the videos out there. 2 dudes in Scream masks, one fat, one tall and skinny, went up and spray painted the old red cool Asian doors of Wang's with something like Trump supporter, go home, evil or devil. They just put some trash on the doors because these 2 people let me have a fundraiser there because they supported my campaign for Congress.
Was it an Asian place? I hope.
Yeah, it's called Wang's.
Okay,
yes.
It's a threshold question.
It was a
But
restaurant, not a club, Matt.
I also
It's a restaurant.
because like the Asian immigrants who
They love Trump.
they love Trump and they love America and they protect their property.
Dang right
like,
they do.
Like high-strung Asian immigrants might be one of the great hopes.
There's 2 white guys that owned it. 2
Okay,
white guys.
well,
Yeah,
all right.
the husband.
Well, that explains why they were able to get away with the spray painting because actual Asians would not have put up.
No, they went out there with like a broom and smacking them.
All right, so
It was late at night. There's video out there somewhere. Look it up.
But back to this point about whether or not California is savable.
It's a good question.
Do you think it is?
I don't know. Elect me governor. I'll fix it.
Yeah, but I think you would have to take over in some sort of military coup for that to happen. I think the Dan Ball junta is just as likely to be successful as the Dan Ball campaign because Newsom locked these people up for years.
And they obeyed.
And they did it. They right after
I didn't
he got
obey.
recalled, and they voted for him anyway.
I know. We tried to recall him twice in the last 6 years,
This
Matt.
would be like prisoners voting to keep the guard in place if you didn't have to.
I know. So 39 million people, because we went down almost a mil during his reign as tyrant here, because most people either during COVID or owned businesses. You saw Elon left. We lost 1 million.
And when you go down 1 million while inviting in millions of illegals,
which we did.
It's, you didn't go down with the demographic of illegal aliens.
No, we became a super sanctuary there. We lost 1 million Americans and a lot of businesses. During COVID, I saw a stat that said we lost 33,000 small businesses, and most of them are restaurants. Now, you know who owns them? Minorities. But wait a minute. Gavin Newsom and the Democrats love minorities. California loves minorities. Then why did you kill 33,000 businesses, you moron?
So there's this recall effort underway now.
Yep.
And I look at it and I'm like, very skeptical.
It's the third time.
The reason I'm skeptical is if you weren't willing to vote against this guy when he locked you in your homes,
right?
What, the fact that he allowed the state to be lit on fire is the new cause?
It's a good point. I get it. And you and I discussed this off cam the other day that, could it be third time the charm? Because last time we ended up short 3.1 million votes. It was 4.9 to 8 million. So we need 3.1 more. I know. But a lot of people are thinking because of the fires that they could pull 3 more mil because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's about 3 million in LA, but LA County has 9 million. So I think there's enough pissed off people in LA County to vote against him on this one. Now, again, that's a theory.
The fires at the time of the election. Do you think that the consciousness of California
by next November when he's out, because he's done then it's going to come down to Kamala and me. I'm joking. Because
I
they
do
say
think she's
Kamala's
gonna
going to run. I know.
I
think so
think
too.
you're going to get Kamala, and I think something comes out of Pelosi world.
No.
Something out of Pelosi world. Maybe like a Pelosi relative.
We can't have this.
Pelosi protege.
I love this
I think
state
that
for its beauty.
You'll
Matt.
have the pretty boy contest with Eric Swalwell maybe. I could see him as a potential candidate.
Yeah, it's a great state when you look at it. I'm talking about aesthetics. This is a beautiful state.
Oh,
but
the natural
for decades,
resources here.
Yeah.
The weather.
It's been
and there
run
are millions of patriotic
idiots.
Americans here.
Out of the 39 million, 6.1 are registered Republicans. I got to think there's still millions more that aren't just registered that have conservative values like you and I. Up north, I mean above San Francisco, up north, rural country. Central Valley all is. Bakersfield and Fresno and all that, that's conservative. And then you have pockets in Southern California where we live, San Diego, big military and veteran crowd, and then Orange County with a lot of conservative money. But if you look, the Democrats have been good at chipping away at those. We lost a couple of House seats in California, flipped to Democrat, even though we flipped a couple to Republican. So there's always that battle here, but I feel like, and I agree with you, there's a little bit of Stockholm syndrome because I don't know how anybody in their right mind could keep saying, I want Gavin to stay in charge of this amazing fifth largest economy in the world. And this guy, when he came in 6 years ago, Matt, we had and in fact, check me, we had, I won't say the exact number, we had billions in surplus. I don't know if it was 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, but we had billions in surplus. We were in the black. The other day, they said we're 62 billion in the hole. So if I'm doing the math, over 100 billion he lost and wasted in 6 years. And you don't want to recall his ass? What's wrong with you, California?
I think he's like suburban white lady catnip. I think they'll vote for him no matter what.
You know what? That makes sense because think about the people that voted for Bill Clinton. And they would literally say because he was sexy or had a cool voice or some crap. I remember that back in the 90s. And I'm like, who cares what he looks like and sounds like? But they're like, oh, we love his Arkansas swagger and blah, blah, blah. And so they voted for him 2 times. Same with Gavin. This guy is a train wreck.
Didn't Gavin like have some scandal where he was banging his own campaign manager's wife?
It was his best friend who was managing the campaign. And then he decided to, little stupid on the wife.
But then he had to come and fess up to it. And then in San Francisco, they were just like,
no, they still voted for him.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah. So I'm glad. That's why Matt talked me out of running because I thought maybe I should throw my hat in the ring because I think being a veteran, being common sense, being transparent and honest with people.
When's that ever worked here?
What's that?
When's that ever worked
Yeah, no
here?
kidding. When's that ever worked in California? You're the one that said, I don't think it's doable for any Republican candidate to win this state because so many people are brainwashed into thinking that the liberal viewpoint and the way of doing things in this state, because it's more radical, and again, I lived in New York, but I lived in a lot of different states. I got to feel like California is the most radical overall than all of them. And I know Oregon and Washington, those are close, second and thirds in New York, but it's such a beautiful place.
Like in the Bible.
Try to enjoy it while you're here.
In the Bible, God had to send all of these plagues on the pharaohs to get them to get with the program.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they do. And I'm just kind of wondering how many plagues have to hit California. Like you've had the plague of the illegals.
Yep.
You've had the plague of the homeless. Now you've had the plague of these
drugs,
wildfires.
Fires.
And it's just like, well, okay, is locusts next?
There's a poop app up in the Bay Area, right? There's a poop app. There's an app you can put on your phone if you're a San Francisco resident to know about the poop. Well, there's so many homeless people defecating in the streets and leaving their needles and stuff that the city of San Francisco had to hire a crew.
Areas?
Well,
in the rich area, like
they're out cleaning up poop and needles every day, bro. In San Francisco, a city that used to be gorgeous. My wife, when we have to go up to Simi Valley to see my buddy Taryn Butler at Taryn Tactical to do some shooting practice with my guns, she won't let me drive through LA. I'm like, baby, it takes 20 minutes longer. Go around that crap hole. She makes me drive around LA. She won't even go in it. She hates it.
It is amazing to think about, and it's amazing that people tolerate it and live in it. And you wonder what it says about people's willingness to allow their own human condition to erode.
Sheep. They're sheep. That's it. Democrats have taught millions of Americans in this state particular to be sheep. And so I hope and pray there'll be more of you and I from the younger generations so we can flip the script.
But Gavin
and turn
runs
this
for
around.
president for sure because I think that
that's what there's. Yeah,
he is because he might be the last straight white guy with a chance in the Democratic Party.
Who they
For
got in the
most
bullpen?
part-
Who's on deck?
Well, for the most part, they hunt
Nobody.
straight white guys. Like the straight white guys who had power in Congress were the ones that the Squad and the Justice Democrats would go after
Yeah.
and
The
take
white
out.
pantsuit ladies.
So, like, I would joke with these guys who are in that kind of last generation of relevance in the Democratic Party, the Adam Schiffs, the Jerry Nadlers, and I'd be like, guys, trust me, it's not going to be us that comes after you and devours you. It's going to be your own.
I love when they eat their own. That's what's you're seeing that right now because they don't know how to handle that 10 more million Americans voted for Trump over your DEI VP hire. So I think they're freaking out because that's who really goes after each other, just like we go after our own, but for different reasons.
Well, we're trying to be a rudder, okay? It is the most disappointing to me when our own side just bails on us. But, you know, that's why it's fun that we've got this terrific platform to be able to animate voices. And that's the other thing I've really enjoyed about these last few weeks here at One America News, the value of taking somebody's story and putting it on our digital platforms, on our television platforms. It really creates an amplification, and it's a power. It's a different power.
Think about the stories you've told in only 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And just in the last 3 weeks that I've done. We've got to put on pro-life protesters that were peaceful that just got pardoned by Trump, that their lives were ruined because they wanted to save babies' lives, like Bevelyn Williams. She comes on the show. We allow her to tell her story. Do you see a CNN or MSNBC or anybody telling those stories? Hell no. But you'll find this now as you stay here longer, we hope. You get to tell the truth. You get to cover stories and talk with people and do whatever you want. Mr. H is like, just don't, get us thrown in prison. Other than that, say and do and interview whatever you want. You're never going to get that, Matt, at any network. I'm telling you. Newsmax, Fox, all the bigs, forget them.
I've
never get it.
left here not like more inspired after a day's work. And I see it because I'm coming into the studio as you're heading out. We got back-to-back shows, 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. And, you're always jacked and pumped. And I go in and do my show. And at the end, I'm jacked and pumped. And it's an exciting thing to invite people into and to invite people into this platform. And we're glad if you have enjoyed this. Make sure that you subscribe and that you turn your notifications on. That way, every time we create one of these shows, you're going to get the information. You're going to be included in the conversation. And make sure to leave us a rating and a review. That way, we better serve you.
Weekly for now. Maybe bring in some guests down the road. Have a little fun. What do you think?
Who knows? At this pace, is there even enough airspace for a guest?
I think our wives might want to get in here. By the way, if you notice, the theme music was Stranglehold from Ted Nugent. I know Ted wants to come on. He wants to take us hunting sometime. If you'd like to go hunting.
Very nice.
Maybe do a little segment on that.
As long as he doesn't bring Dick Cheney, I'm in.
This is going to be fun. I am excited about this next year of you and I not only doing our primetime shows, but this podcast and just talking about whatever the hell we want. And we want your feedback, your input too. So sound off on X or Truth or wherever you're seeing this show, Rumble, YouTube, and say, hey, next week, can you talk about this or that? And we'll bring in your Q&A stuff. So throw us some questions and topics and let's just have some fun.
Oh, heck, we're allowed to bring notes? That'll make next time even more fun.
Where are they?
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching.